When you finish a first draft, congratulations by the way, there's a big problem you need to deal with. It probably sucks. I mean, it's really probable. If you've managed to nail it with the first draft, you're either an absolute master, an actual wizard, or you made a deal with the devil. And that last one will catch up with you sooner or later.
No fluff writing advice. Cut the fluff!
Once you finish a first draft, the first step is to bury it in a deep hole where it can't be seen. Not because it's bad and should never be seen, but you need some time away from it before you're ready to gaze upon it again clearly and objectively with fresh eyes. By the time you finish a first draft, your eyes are stale, like old bread you forgot was hiding at the back of the cupboard. If you've had a really intense writing session, your eyes may even be mouldy. That's bad. Once your first draft feels like it's been dead and buried long enough for you to forget it even existed, it's time to dig it up for a big picture edit, also known as a structural or developmental edit. First, read through your manuscript and mark where you need to edit for the following elements: plot, overall narrative arc, character development and character arcs, pacing, symbolism and themes, conflict and character motivations, cuts and additions. Feeling overwhelmed, like you've just been tasked with redesigning reality? Well, you basically have. But don't stress, we're going to get a little fluffy with this one and discuss each element in greater detail. What a relief. Firstly, let's talk overall plot and story arc. Do you have a strong opening that hooks readers and reels them in? In this market and economy, you should be fishing like your life depends on it, like you'll starve if you don't get readers on the hook, because you might. Also, have you provided satisfying payoffs to all the promises you made? Did you promise or set something up that didn't happen with no explanation? Not good, fix it. Is your foreshadowing strong? Can readers connect the dots looking back after a twist or reveal? Are there enough surprises along the way to keep readers guessing and engaged? Are there any plot holes you need to fill? If relevant to your story structure, is there a compelling climax the tension builds up to? Is there a satisfying ending that ties off all the loose ends? Loose ends in storytelling are like loose bowels. They can leave a horrible mess no one wants to deal with. Then there's character development or character arcs. Do your characters change with each impactful experience? By the end of the story, they should be making decisions they never would have made at the start. Whenever something impactful happens to a character, ask yourself, how has this event changed them? Then write with that change in mind. For example, if a seagull steals an entire slice of pizza right out of your hand, what an impactful experience! You'll likely change in some way. You might develop a disdain for or even a fear of seagulls. You may go on a seagull murder rampage. Different events affect people differently. Keep that in mind. Pacing's a big one. Does your story drag in some parts and feel like it's careening forward with too much momentum in others? There are several ways you can adjust the pacing of a story, including adding or removing exposition or other parts of a scene, or adding or removing entire scenes. I'll cover pacing in depth in another video because this one's getting a little too fluffy for my liking. So, let's pick up the pace. Symbolism and themes. Now's a good time to consider where you can add more symbolism and strengthen any themes. Next, conflict and character motivation. Is your conflict compelling? Are you creating the right amount of tension in the right places? Is the central conflict story-worthy, or does it need strengthening? Are your character motivations strong enough to make the conflict, the obstacles they face, matter? Will readers care? Make them care. Yeah! Finally, could your story benefit from additional scenes? This is important to consider if you tend to underwrite. On the flip side, are there any unnecessary scenes you can cut? I'm looking at you, overwriters or word vomiters. You made the mess, now it's on you to clean it up. Certain stories require you to look at the overall structure of the narrative. For example, if you have multiple viewpoint characters, are chapters or viewpoint shifts structured in the most compelling and logical way? Well, are they? The main thing to keep in mind is, despite what people say, you can polish a turd. Every bookstore, physical and digital, is chock full of polished turds right now. Editing a book is like raising a child. At some point, you're going to get shit on your hands. The key is, instead of quitting when the mess seems unfixable, I mean, you can quit writing, but please don't quit parenting. The key is to be willing to get dirty, utterly filthy to achieve a great result. A well-raised child or a well-written story. Both start as unpolished turds. Don't tell my kids I said that.